So thank you very much for the survey today. If I get a chance, I'm going to update and edit this video, but in a much shorter form with a focus on a single issue and anything that might be affecting it and some additional information. But here is the unedited version, and in the email there are all the recommendations and actions. I've used AI to do it, just makes it quicker and also more accurate. Less is dropped through, and I quickly read through it to check that it all makes sense. But I will double check before sending the final version. Note, I do the data loggers when I send off the final version. So thank you very much, and have a listen. I'm just saying that I had a look through the surveyor's report, and he recommended, or he said that he thought there was a bridge to the DPC. DPC is damp-proof course, since the about 1875. When they started putting in the drainage system, they got builders to put in a damp-proof course, which is just essentially a barrier in the middle of the bricks to the bottom of the lower ground. But actually, this you said Edwardian, but it looks more it looks earlier actually.
Oh really?
We to be honest, we were told. I think we were told somewhere in the early 1900s. But we haven't been given an exact date. So
were I to guess, and I don't know, I'd say probably 1870.
Really?
Okay.
Because it's got a lower ground, and generally they didn't put in lower grounds after 1870s because with Bazalgette and the bringing the drainage into London, it was more convenient to have houses a bit higher up, because you don't have the sort of pumping issues and so on. Yeah. So anyway, so it's quite possible that it was built before DPCs were around, but DPC damp-proof courses aren't actually that important. It's the fact that you don't have one or that it's bridged or whatever doesn't mean that you've got a major problem. In London, so it's against rising damp, and rising damp comes from groundwater, and groundwater is the water under the water table. And in London, it's pumped out and has been since the Industrial Revolution, and they continue to pump it out. It varies different parts of London, but it's somewhere between 40 and 17 metres or even 100 metres below ground. You can see all the different pumping stations. Otherwise, you get tubes flooding and underground car parks and all of those issues. So that's not. But I'll have a look to see what you've got down here, and I'll look and I'll show you a link to where you can find out for yourselves about the groundwater. But this part of London does have a risk of groundwater. But because it's pumped out, that risk is mitigated. So if it wasn't pumped out, you may have a problem.
Right. Okay.
But it's in the days when they built these properties, they didn't build them in areas with groundwater because they made those into parks. And I live next to a park called Wells Park, where there are wells. Yeah. Because that's groundwater coming through. Anyway, I'll have a look at that, and I'll give you specific recommendations, and then if you want me to look at the rest of the place, but do show me at the beginning so I know what I'm planning to do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so, I can go down and show you now.
There's no real door frame there, so I think water was just coming in rather than.
So when it's raining, you get water.
It's all damp.
When it's heavily raining.
And this the.
But you're.
Myself. This is the front. I remember seeing in the survey it also said something about a leak. Now, what I wonder whether he was just covering himself.
It was outside, and Thames Water came to fix it.
Okay, there's a specific leak. Okay.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Mains water. So how long had that been going on for?
I'm actually not entirely sure because we got the survey about 3 months. No, was it about 2 months before we moved in? But like, to be honest, we'd kind of decided that we were sorry. Get all set.
No, it's
We
fine.
kind of decided we were going to buy it anyway,
was-
so we were like, we'll just get in and get it sorted. And then on actually it was like a few days before we moved, the estate agent said to us, by the way, there was a leak outside, and it actually turned out it was Thames Water's responsibility, so they've come to fix it anyway.
But what I would say is that if any damp brick will take in the order of 6 to 9 months to dry out.
Okay.
And it can take longer if you can get this sort of phased effect where the ground is damp for a lot longer, and it's just sort of continuing to cause dampness to the brick, so it can actually be delayed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hygrometer probe in the subfloor. This looks like a suspended timber floor, although it feels like it's concrete underneath it.
Yeah, so if it's the same as
through it there.
So there, you can see through it.
Oh yeah, so it's probably just a small gap.
In here though, because I wonder if you can...
So you can see one of the sensors that I've set up is...
No, so we're talking about the floor though.
Yeah.
So under here is just this complete concrete.
Okay. Yeah, have you got the kitchen?
The kitchen, yeah.
But so it's
The end of these.
they typically only have a very small gap.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and the theory is that you've got airflow underneath it that stops rot, essentially. But so if you've got dampness in the subfloor void, then you get this constant moving of water from the source of the dampness to the brick. So I'll measure just to see what
great.
high humidity levels there.
From there.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Sorry, it's absolutely hideous.
So, well, no, I mean, I go into these areas. It's always the same. So,
the damp thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've put the sensor here because he'd said on the survey, it was like, there's signs of wood lice that have been up here.
probably.
And potentially, like, there was salt, like, is it salt deposits or something?
Yeah.
Like that?
There.
Yeah, that showed like sort of signs of dampness, and so we just wanted to kind of get it all checked out really and figure out if there's something that we need to do about it.
So I think firstly, these understair zones are always an issue, and you can tank it, you can do what you want, but they're vulnerable for a lot of different reasons. But they weren't built for habitation; they were built as cold cellars. But part of the issue is that inevitably you're going to get some cracking in underneath here, and some rainwater can get through. Secondly, it's unheated, so any vapour in the rest of the house, because you've got the kitchen nearby, is liable to come in here and condense in here. And then you've got you've got natural airflow through the bottom.
Shit door, yeah.
But so you've got lots of issues, and in a way it's better sort of working with it rather than working against it. I've been to Chelsea where they put in a membrane to try and stop the water getting through, but then they still get dampness in it because of the temperature difference and so on. So it's you can spend a lot of money and not really get very far. These salts, these are calcium sulfate salts, and calcium sulfate, the old name for calcium sulfate was gypsum, and they come from building materials such as cement, concrete contains calcium sulfate. So it just dissolves, comes to the surface. It's benign. You just don't worry about it.
Okay, great.
What you want to worry about, also you've got mould here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like mould.
probably is.
But that's not mold. Just tells me that there are high levels of vapor, which you can see. You got that brown area there is telling me that it's water that's passing through building material, and so it's probably from above. I mean, this stone is beautiful, but it's probably got a porosity to it. It will let some water through eventually over time. As I say, I think you're better off working with it and not trying to make this into a habitable space, but just accepting that it will maybe be a little bit damp at
So
times, but
you could potentially look at, because we're looking at building like a utility room in this part of the house, but do you think we would be better off just like sealing this off with a more of an outside door and then just using that as a storage space or something?
Yeah, you don't necessarily put in an outside door. I mean, this door's probably fine.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to talk about vapour shortly. But if you measure the vapour in here and you know what's happening, then you can act accordingly. So if there's a lot of excess vapour in there, then you might look to seal the stairs on the outside.
Okay.
But you can tell. So the data loggers, you can tell a huge amount with. So I'll have a look at those now. What happens in there can influence the ground down there. So if you're getting lots of water in here, then you can end up getting dampness at the base of the wall there because it's obviously passing through. So you can't be completely indifferent to what's in there. And we'll look at lots of different elements of it, including on the outside. But I'm just going to show you this now with the data logger. So I put a calibrated data logger next to your data loggers, and then we'll give it about half an hour to see what's happening. But there are three elements to it. So it measures degrees centigrade or Fahrenheit if you want, if you're in America, and percentage relative humidity. So percentage relative humidity is a percentage of the amount of vapour that air can hold as a capacity. So it's 70%, which is relatively humid. In summertime it can be quite humid. We've been going through some humid days. You can find it's like 90%. Don't worry too much about that on its own. There's a calculation that comes from this which is called the dew point, and that's really important. The dew point, and you can see it on your phone, and we'll look on your phone in a sec. The dew point is a measure of the amount of vapour in air expressed as degrees centigrade. It's also the temperature where condensation takes place at. And if you look at relative dew points, you can see where vapour's being generated. So if there is vapour being generated in that zone because there's rain coming in, then you can see, and you can obviously compare it to times of heavy rain. So it's actually quite useful to see what's happening at this time of year, and then compare it to a rainy period in October or November, cold, and also it's useful for seeing in the bathroom, comparing it to here, and we'll look at that in a sec. But we'll come back to this, but I'm just leaving it here so it calibrates, and then we can just see.
Cool, yeah.
Your property's been treated for rising damp against groundwater. You don't have groundwater here, but do you see these holes here?
Yeah.
And it's often up there. No, I don't see it there. So that means that they will have blocked the water in areas, and probably not other areas. I'll go back to what that means a bit later on.
Yeah, sure.
But also I noticed that you've got lots of render cracks here. And these are going to let water in. So just that sort of micro crack will absorb water as it's streaming down the wall. It will absorb water like a capillary, and it sucks it in. And you want to try and fill that and paint it, and just reduce, because the less. It's all the way up here as well. That will let water in, and then the very fact that you've got plants growing here tells me that there's a decent amount of water in your bricks.
Yeah.
So you want to try and fill these gaps and these cracks
Probably
here.
smart to do that before it starts raining loads.
Yeah, so with bigger sections like this, you want to use a cement-based render, a mortar.
Yeah.
You can do it yourselves. It's relatively easy to do it, but obviously a builder if you're not too confident. But you've got to start somewhere. So
Oh yeah, no, we're trying to
keep costs down.
We can, yeah.
I think I saw them mention pointing, but your pointing is fine. I don't. Or maybe I looked at everyone's before coming out, so maybe I remember that wrong. Did he mention pointing?
I don't think I remember seeing anything about pointing. No,
I would say that the plants down there lead me to believe that you've got an issue with on the party wall.
Over here.
Yeah, you got waters going in there, but that may be, you do have water coming from this land here that's absorbing, that just
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Literally plants growing.
Say that it looks like somebody's put decent amount of money and time into keeping the property looking good on the outside. So
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah,
It's a bit surprising actually, given the inside line.
Well, yeah, they're weird like that. Some things they've done really well, and then some things just haven't been touched
Yeah.
in ages. Like they did all the windows, they did all the electrics, but like still had nails sticking out the floor. Just like.
The other thing to mention is that what affects your neighbour, particularly on the party wall, is going to have a bearing on yourselves. And if you want, after I've had a look at the wall, I can knock on your neighbour. I did see her earlier. And is it flats, is it? Are they
It's
rented?
flats, yeah.
Are they rented or?
Yeah, both rented.
But anyway, what affects them? So, for example, if there's a bathroom on the other side,
Yeah.
and they've got a leak, then that's something. But I'll go and have a look at the wall now.
So I always notice.
Is it?
Yeah.
What element?
I manage the product design and UX team at Rightmove.
Do you?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, but property as well. God, how
Property
funny.
as well, yeah. Which is funny because then people always expect that I know loads about. That she wanted like west facing or big dining room into the app, and then it uses AI to
Look up the
scan
metadata
photos,
from all the.
It uses the photos and also the written descriptions,
Brilliant.
and then could like prioritise properties with all of that.
That just shows how important it is to collect metadata.
Yeah, well, because the thing is as well, like we've known for years and years that like the filters on Rightmove weren't really up to scratch, but
So I'm going to briefly jump on to looking at your wall. So what you can actually see the dampness here, and it's rising into the corner. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I put a pencil mark along here so that you've got a record of it. I mean, you can do it with photos, but it's quite useful to do it with a pencil. You can just rub it out in time. But when it looks like this, it's typically caused by a leak.
A leak.
Yeah. And I would say that this is new plaster, and because it's been damp proofed, I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't damp proofed at one stage. Typically when you do one section, you do other sections, or this is internal. So I'm going to have a look at the neighbour. I'm going to test what I can for a leak, but we do know there was a leak and that it was resolved, about 4 months ago, Thames Water. So, and that will take time to dry out. So that's why it's useful to have the pencil mark, because you can see whether it's improving or reducing over time. But
Is pen fine? I mean,
yeah, pen's fine, but it won't rub out quite as easily if you're painting it anyway.
paint it at some point.
But what I would say is get one of these as well. So pen is useful because you can see the visible signs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily mark. I'd almost do like a dashed line so you can see the difference. But this is a damp meter. It uses radio waves. And the good thing is that it measures deep within the wall. It has the points as well, so it can do the surface, but they don't cost very much. And the professional use a different one that I don't think is as good, and it costs £250, £300. This costs about £20.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And I think it's better. but don't tell anyone that. So you see it's 100%. So 100% just means it's saturated. It's a number, don't worry too much. I mean, obviously it's not 100% water.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just a measure. But and it pretty much lines up with where the water is. So that is normally a pretty good indication that it's a leak. You can see there's dampness on the floor timber here. So you run a risk of rot if it's long-term ongoing. And I wouldn't be surprised you got a little bit of rot just at the base of it. Don't worry about it. The rot you have to be worried about is called dry rot, and you're unlikely to get it where you've got airflow, and because it's exposed timber, you're less likely to have it. If you cover this in carpet and or liner or anything, then you run more of a risk. I'm measuring the subfloor humidity, and it's already showing 87%, which is high. So as I said, and I'll explain later, but there are two things to be concerned about. One is the relative humidity, and the other one is the dew point, and the dew point differential. And we'll look at those a bit later on. But you should have a similar dew point below the ground to above the ground, even if the relative humidity is different. But if you've got a source of water underground, then you'll have a higher dew point, and we'll have a look at that. But that could be the leak from the Thames Water. So, 3 or 4 months is too short a time to dry a leak out. You can speed up the process with a fan and a dehumidifier. But yeah, so.
Could I just ask what you were saying about the airflow? If we were to say keep the timber floors but seal them, would that reduce the airflow?
That is, it does, but most people do. I would say it obviously better to have some airflow, but I've just sealed up a floor myself, and I put an insulation in underneath. So these were built with airflow in to stop timber rotting. If you expose the timber, then it's unlikely to rot because it's one half of it is exposed, and you get some movement of water within the timber, and you can see when rot, if it's starting to rot. Do you see this?
Yeah.
That you get something like that when it gets damp, and then you'll know to do something. So if you're up for it, there's an argument for either keeping it as it is or even insulating underneath it. But it starts to cost money, but it's the way things are going to go. You may even get some grants at some stage, although the government hasn't got any money at the moment. Agua. Okay, gracias. Just testing the water. Just seeing whether the suck back on this, which it would indicate a leak, takes a bit of time to come through. Your new stopcock appears to have a leak, and you see the water down there. It's summertime now. You can have an issue of condensation forming around it, but I don't think it just feels like it's a leak in this case, and because it's dry here, and it's wet here, so it may be just a case of turning it up. But I don't think that would. I mean, you only had that put in recently, didn't you?
Yeah, like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I'll show you how to test, but all it's going to tell me is that you've got a leak. And it will be a slow leak, but I'll show you now. So I generally turn it off at the roadside, but that isn't turning the water off, and that may be because there's a defective stopcock there. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
As you say, you've got a stopcock here, and so if I turn it off by turning it clockwise, then we'll just see, and then that should stop the water coming through. So it stopped it, and because you got a leak, you'll see a very slow drop in the water level, because as the water is dripping out, it's being replaced by air, or it's being replaced by the water in your beautiful glass jug. So I don't think that's relevant to the
No, to the damps of the wall.
the damp and the wall,
Yeah.
but there may have been a leak there before. Why did he change the stopcock? Because there's
The one that was there
didn't
before
work.
didn't work at all.
And he was fitting a boiler for us, and he was trying to turn the water off, and he said, no, your stopcocks don't work. So
so the one outside didn't work either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
There you go.
I actually thought he'd fix that as well, though. Did you not?
The one in.
On the road.
No, because you would have had to turn off further up the.
Right.
I was
Okay.
going to say that'd be a Thames Water thing,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll go and turn it back on now. You got no extractor fan here, and you really do need one. I recommend a continuous flow bathroom extractor fan.
Yeah, well, we're actually getting rid of this bathroom, or we're going to completely reduce it in size to just a little toilet. So we're kind of
Have a bathroom upstairs.
Yeah, we're making this whole thing like open plan.
Ah, lovely, lovely. Oh, you got drips here.
I've not even noticed that.
They feel greasy, so I'm not sure. But your extractor fan isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's broken.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, but even if it did work, it wouldn't go anywhere.
Always
you,
put
can,
that
you,
in.
can, you can have a look. You see the.
Oh, just about torn off.
So it's not, there's a. It doesn't
Yeah.
go up the chimney anyway, basically.
What?
So you want to put in a kitchen extractor fan. Ideally, it goes straight out, but it can go up the chimney breast. I've got one that goes up the chimney breast, but this is open, so it would just go up and out back through here if you went up the chimney breast.
Right.
Anyway, ideally it goes straight out, and then you got much more control over it.
Okay.
But so you're going to get vapour from the bathroom and kitchen, and lower ground floor properties are really at risk of getting condensation, because what happens is you're generating the vapour. You almost certainly, people don't want to keep windows open because of security risk. It's the lower ground section, so you're getting more vapour from rain on the outside, and at night probably the heating's off down here, or it's colder and you get condensation. It's very common to have issues. So make sure you have good fans down here. If you've got a bathroom here, have a continuous flow bathroom extractor fan. If you're just having the toilet, that's fine, but kitchen definitely.
Yeah.
If you dry clothes, I mean, if you're going to do a utility room type thing down here, make sure you've got either a good extractor fan or a dryer that you use all the time, or probably, and I recommend to almost everyone that has a house, as a dehumidifier.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll get a 20 litre plus dehumidifier. You can see plenty of them available online, but 20 litres is a sort of sweet spot between not being too bulky and noisy but removing sufficient amount of vapour.
Okay.
Makes
I'll
sense.
show you on your data logger. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bring it in line with the thing there. If you can move your thumb. Do you see?
sorry.
They're in the same environment, yet the
percentages are different.
Percentages are different. So we need to bring them into line. And do you see the dew point?
Yes.
The dew point is measuring the amount of vapour in air. So that's that one there. So I'll now change it for you. So they're now identical. They're calibrated, and apart from being accurate, it's also useful for dew point differential, just to get those in line. So it will have changed all the numbers, which is good. So what I'll do this to start with. So you press the syncing, and then it takes about a minute per week. So seems a bit quicker. And then you press the calculator sign and you do the export sign top right, and then just leave those open and then press that, and I'll let you do that. Essentially,
I closed the front door.
it's a different way of looking and understanding vapour, because we don't see vapour. We've got very little sense of vapour as human beings. But what you have to think of vapour is, one is it's like smoke, so it moves through diffusion. So if you're cooking in the kitchen, or if, say you were smoking in the bathroom without an extractor fan and the door open, the smoke is going to come through here. Well, it's the same with vapour. It's just going to move through the property, and it may be fine in the bathroom, but as soon as the steam meets the cold, unheated area here, it's liable to condense. And one of the primary issues with properties, particularly lower ground floor properties, is vapour condensing. And you will get this look of damp that is caused entirely by condensation.
Okay.
And because it's summertime, I think this is a leak rather than condensation. But the same amount of moisture, and the other thing is you've got insulation around here, which is great, but you wouldn't expect to get condensation when you've got the insulation around there, which is why I think it's a leak.
Okay.
And you need to solve it. But you can get the same looking damp that's caused by condensation. This time of year you get less of it, obviously it's more of a winter thing because of the cold. But the other thing is, from looking at the vapour levels, you can tell whether water is being generated from in one area compared to another area. And you can, I'll be showing you what the outside dew point is, and you can also, I'll pick this up, but this is showing 88% at 20 degrees centigrade, and which tells me that there is water in the subfloor void relative to, well, there's more vapour in the subfloor void, therefore there's a source of water down there compared to the property as a whole.
Okay.
And I would say that's more likely to be caused by the Thames Water leak that's just taking time to dry out. And that you're better off just leaving it. But I'm going to recommend that you get one of these. They're very inexpensive. They only cost £5 or something. You need to get a few and calibrate them against your data loggers.
Okay.
But they will give you, by just putting it in the same zone and just seeing what the numbers are. But they will tell you, if you leave it for a long time, they'll tell you whether it's drying out or whether it's getting worse. And it's that, looking at the dew point. I've created a calculator called mouldpoint.co.uk where you can do an automatic calculation, but you can do a mental calculation by roughly every 1 degree centigrade drop in temperature increases the relative humidity by about 5%, and you can take that to work out what the dew point is, more or less.
Okay.
But it's better with a calculator.
Okay. I noticed it had been raining, and I noticed that there was like a dark mark here. Since then, I plastered the wall, and you say you can't see where the crack was. Oh, in fact, you sort of can. There's quite a big crack there.
Well, it's more important what's happening on the outside.
Yeah.
Because this is more decorative on the inside.
Right. Okay.
I'll have a look on the outside to see what's happening. You go. Oh, look. So.
Because the other thing is, I think these windows I don't think are sealed at all.
Yeah. Well, they don't look bad actually on the inside. On the outside, there's cracks here. Well, so there's a bit of a render crack, but it's, crack in the pointing, but it's very rarely a cause. I don't think. Oh, this is a bit cracked here, but I don't think it would show up on it wouldn't show up on the timber floor particularly.
Okay.
But you said, so there was water on the floor.
There was a sign of it looked like similar to what we've seen downstairs. Yeah, not as bad as that, but it just looked like.
You wouldn't typically get, or put it this way, you would see a huge brown stain on the wall well before you would see dampness on the timber floor.
Okay.
I think it's probably more likely to be from, I don't know, somebody spilling water,
Right. Okay.
or
Because there's no water like source up here, so
yeah.
yeah. Okay. I sort of. I wasn't too worried about it. I was
Yeah.
just.
Oh, it's good to check it, but
Yeah.
I mean, to keep an eye during a rainstorm. I notice you've got no trickle vents here, so you'll run a risk of condensation up here. But
Yeah.
just
What's a
monitor
trickle
it.
vent?
Oh, the little things up there. It's now become a requirement. I'm not a big believer in them. I think it's much better just to crack the window slightly open, if you can.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Leave
Even
them
like
like that.
that.
But yeah.
That's why you want a damp meter. You need to put it onto masonry mode. That's dry.
Okay.
But let's have a look on the outside.
Something hideous.
I think it's.
And same with that one.
Strange.
I would say that's probably burning or
I
something.
thought that's what I was thinking.
It doesn't actually feel like it's been moisture.
No. Okay.
But yeah, so on the crack side, what I would do is I'd monitor it. Is that outside wall?
No.
Party wall.
That's that's party wall. Because we were concerned about it as well, but we were told, or we've been under the indication that actually they're not like big subsidence type issues, and that it's hopefully sort of plasterboard cracks.
No, I don't. I'd love that to be correct. I don't think of these properties that Victorian and earlier get what are called hygroscopic salts on the chimney breast, and you sometimes can't tell when it's been covered in wallpaper, and so you may get dampness showing through on the chimney breast. And if you do have it, what you do is you cover it in Zinsser cover stain, which is an oil-based stain block. A couple of coats of that, and that's fine.
Okay, cool. What we should then be doing actions-wise is so in terms of this downstairs area, what do we need to do next?
So the leak. I'm just going to see whether it's showing up as a drop in the pressure. Well, it's if anything, it's marginal. So maybe it isn't leaking at the. Oh, have I got the thing open? No, I didn't have it open. But even so, it's marginal. So it suggests that leak, that there is a leak there, but it's very, very slow, and it's not showing up as a drop in the as a pressure on here. So I'll put it back on, and we'll just check that it's all working. But that should be fine. But even so, you want to get the guy to have a look at it. Because there's clearly water there. Once that's done, I think you're fine there. I would monitor the subfloor void humidity. I do think that there's humidity there from the leak you had in the past.
Yeah.
It's not showing through on your neighbour's side. But it may be that their wall has been damp proofed, which reduces the visibility, but it doesn't solve the problem. I would monitor it before doing anything to the timber. I mean, I don't think it's worth it in this case, but if you want, I can have a look in under the timber. I don't think it will tell me anything particularly. I'd have to raise it, which risks damaging the timber. So I don't think I should do, but it's up to you.
Would it enable you to see if there was a leak down there?
I don't think I'll see it. I don't think I'll see a leak. But what I would do is I'd raise this one here. But there is a risk that it won't look as good afterwards. This one. It'll take a few minutes, it's not.
Maybe we should. What do you think, Jay?
I mean, if you are suggesting that is not necessarily going to be that helpful.
So what I would say is monitor the subfloor humidity. So
Yeah.
the subfloor being this little void underneath.
Yeah.
It will take months to dry out.
Okay.
Unless you're, and actually the other thing is that you can get on with painting this wall.
Mm-hmm.
It may look a bit damp and you may have to repaint it, but I don't think there's any particular risks of doing that.
Okay.
So in terms of refurbishment, I don't think you need to hold back.
Would it be a simple case of, if we get one of these underfloor sensors, like if the number goes up, there's still a problem. If it goes down, we're doing it's better. Is it as simple as that, or?
Yeah, but it's don't forget it's the dew point you're looking at.
Yeah,
and not just the relative humidity. Because relative humidity is about temperature.
Yeah.
And vapour.
Okay. And that's probably the main thing that we need to be monitoring.
That's your big concern.
Okay.
So, but basically, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything if it were my place. Mm-hmm. So I normally come at a property from the perspective of what would I do if it were my place, and I would monitor it, and if it does get worse, I would then, you see, there is a risk that you've got a leak on the heating system, but you're not using the heating system yet, so you won't really tell whether you've got a leak on the heating system until you start using it.
Yeah.
And you'll see a drop off in the where's the heating system? Is it?
Like the boiler, or?
Yeah. So you'll see a drop in the pressure on the boiler. I don't. Worcester Bosch is good, but you don't have a way of topping it up, do you? So it's probably got some sort of automatic top-up system. You might ask since you're getting your plumber around anyway to fix the leak, you might just ask whether that was pressure checked.
Oh, it's a good shout. Yeah.
Okay.
Bit of condensation back here.
What is that?
Yeah,
the
peeling
paint,
yeah. And that's because you've got no ventilation here. Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cold
And also
outside.
that the previous owners never had the windows open pretty much ever.
In the heat that we had this summer, they didn't have them open once.
Yeah. And
How do you know? You would just
Because
Well,
we kept coming around to
we
look
came
at
and
it.
viewed the house about 4 times maybe, because we were coming with our parents and various other people. So yeah.
And it stunk.
Yeah.
So ask about topping up the water. Should there be a leak? So there's 2 reasons you need to top water up. One is the expansion valve isn't working properly, and the other is a leak. And there is a risk, but I think the risk is low, that there's water there. Because of the Thames Water, I just believe that that's the primary source.
Okay.
But you're just next to a radiator, so theoretically there could be a leak there. But normally, if you get radiator leaks, they're normally visible. They're normally visible here, and there's nothing. It's less likely that it will go in the copper. I mean, it can do, but you get problems with copper and solid floors, but otherwise not.
About the bricks with the holes in.
Damp-proofed, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about it, but when it's been damp-proofed, you get a ridge around here, and it's difficult. Oh, maybe it's there. And this has greater risk of damp around the area of the ridge, but it's mainly to do with excess vapour.
Okay.
And you don't have signs of damp proof as ridge, but yeah,
okay.
That's what it is. Okay, look. So if you look up on Amazon hygrometer probe, it should get you to something that looked very similar to the one I just showed you. Yeah, that one there.
Yeah.
But the black one seemed to be better, but you want to get 3 and just make sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And then calibrate them.